This is a video review of Buffa Gator from the Japanese line Earth Granner from Tomica. So this is what his box looks like. Pretty basic Japanese box, and then the back of the box, all the different displaying options. So the Buffa Gator, he's about 10 inches to the top of his head, and then for scale, here he is with drive head backdraft from the previous line from Tomica, and then a liter Power of the Primes Optimus. And then here's Tobot Classic. And then Shinkalion, which is also made by Takara. And Buffa Gator has a lot of options with his weapons, like this axe weapon. You can combine that with the spikes, with the drill spikes on his backpack, and those can become, so his axe can then become a large hammer, and then his backpack also becomes a shield. And I really like the aesthetic of this figure. He's a lot like the Minotaur from Greek mythology, because he has the bull horns and he's got the hooves down here as well, which is probably my favorite monster from Greek mythology. I really wish they would have did a little bit more with these drill bits. It would have been great if these hands could have folded up and then he could have had drill hands instead. That would have been really great. Or if there was a more practical way of pinning them onto his shoulders. Like this way looks pretty good, but maybe something more aggressive. It would have been cool if they could stick out of the sides of his shoulders and you can shoulder charge people. As far as articulation goes, he has really all the modern articulation. So he's very sturdy and everything's really ratcheted. So he has double jointed elbows, which gives you a bend to about here. And then he has a head swivel. And then he has universal ratchets in the hips for forward, outward, and then a double jointed knee to get a lot of range in the knee as well. And then he's got a pitching ankle that goes backwards and forward, but only a little bit, and then ankle tilts. Oh, and he's also got waist articulation as well. So a really wide range of articulation. The only thing that's really lacking is probably a wrist swivel and maybe a ball joint neck. There's not much else they could have given to him. And then he's got outward in the arms, and then your standard pivot on the arms, on the shoulders as well. So the gimmick for the Tomica line is that it's compatible with basically Matchbox car sized vehicles. So that's his core vehicle. This is actually not the vehicle that he's supposed to come with, but the vehicle sits in there. It has electronics, and that vehicle can be removed and played with, but it's your standard sized Matchbox car. And it's got a button to reject it on the bottom. And then of course he transforms, so first you have to split him into two animals, which is where his name comes from. So the first animal is the alligator, which makes his legs. And this is actually a heavy remold if you're familiar with this line. This is actually identical to the shark. It's almost completely identical with just a couple of small remolded details. But it transforms the same way. You just pivot the legs up, connect them by this tab, close the mouth here, spread out the gator feet, and then you attach the axe as his back scales. And then that one's pretty much all done. There's your alligator mode. And then the torso, you're going to very carefully rotate the wheels on his shoulders. These have a tendency to pop off. It's especially hard to do this on camera. but they'll just pop right back on. And then you're going to slot the shoulders down, so that goes from here to here, and then slide the buffalo head slides from here into this position. And then you pivot the arms backwards and they tab into place. And then the arms fold up and they bend, and then there's a little tab here which lines up to a little slot right there. And then you fold the hands in after that. And this gives you the basic buffalo form. You're also going to have to attach all the extra little accessories that he comes with, so there is some parts forming involved. So the hooves now clip onto the back of the vehicle. And then the shield piece has an extending part. Well, it's actually made of two pieces that need to be unclipped. And then this piece creates what looks like a little pair of horns, and this goes into the back of the vehicle. And then this section that's left over from the shield, and there's also the robot's backpack, this becomes like a little plow section that pins into the fists in the front. And then finally the drills peg into that to make an interesting drill tank vehicle, which looks like this, which is a pretty good looking vehicle. I think that the buffalo and the gator, they look really good together. I really like the color. The teal is really shows up really nicely in person. It also has one extra little feature. So all the accessories on him can be arranged in different ways because there's so many different peg holes that you can peg things into. But he's also meant to be a vehicle for the other Earth Granners. So I'm just going to put his friend Lion Cheetah will be riding on him. So this is what it looks like when another Granner is riding on top of him. It's not the most convincing vehicle, but you get kind of a little go-kart action. It's a little goofy looking, and of course his wheel fell off. So overall, I really like this figure. I got him from Amazon Japan, directly from the Tomica store, and it was about $62 shipped, which was really cheap. So the core figure itself was only about $50, and then you can buy the little cars inside for about $10. So it was a really great deal, and it only released about 3 days ago. So I got it in 3 days to the United States, which is a great deal. But I highly recommend these figures. I don't think enough people know about them.